The Northern Territory tourism industry is facing tough times with visitor numbers in decline. Earlier this week, Qantas announced it will cut its flights to Uluru and Darwin. Jetstar is also planning to cut back services between Darwin and Sydney and Darwin and Denpasar. Northern Territory Minister for Tourism Malarndirri McCarthy is in Sydney, heading up a delegation of Central Australian tourism operators. I spoke with her about what the airline's decision means for the Territory.
The announcement this week by Qantas and Jetstar is not good. It's certainly very disappointing for the people of the Northern Territory. It certainly hits harder for the people of Central Australia, and that's why I'm actually here in Sydney now with the Mayor of Alice Springs and also Tourism Central Australia to lobby Tourism Australia in terms of how difficult and dire the circumstances could well be on into the future.
What have you achieved in your meetings today?
What today was about was bringing representatives from Central Australia to highlight to Tourism Australia that this is incredibly important to us in the Northern Territory. To have a decision made by the national carrier to reduce flights to Uluru should send a signal to all Australians that our national icon, which we certainly love to send internationally, is now really under pressure in terms of tourism visitors, and we want action.
What impact will these cuts from the airlines have?
It's very difficult to send a message where, on one hand, $300 million is invested into Uluru, into Yulara in particular, to grow an Indigenous hospitality training academy, and on the other hand, flights are reduced. That sends very mixed signals. It certainly sends very worrying signals.
Do you believe Tourism Australia has given Central Australia enough of a focus?
We do need to see more of Tourism Australia into Central Australia, and after our talks today, it's been agreed with the CEO of Tourism Australia, Andrew McAvoy, and also the Chair, Jeff Dixon, the former Chair of Qantas, that they will be coming to Central Australia and that they will also look at bringing the Tourism Australia Board to the Northern Territory.
Tourism has been declining slowly since 2006 and more rapidly since the onset of the global financial crisis. This isn't a new development. What has the government been doing to try to stop the decline?
Well, what's new is that Qantas has reduced its flights from Yulara and is about to in terms of the visits or the flights between Cairns and Perth to Yulara. That is new. In terms of what Tourism NT and the Northern Territory Government have been doing, we obviously saw a very big announcement with Virgin and the direct flight from Darwin to Sydney, and also Silk Air into the Northern Territory. We're looking at expanding the Northern Territory airport in Darwin, so we're certainly always doing things on the ground. I had a delegation last week in Central Australia from 8 countries, and that delegation visited the top end and also Central Australia. So we're certainly always on the ball and always working. I think what we have to recognise is that there are very real challenges here with the Australian dollar and also the global financial crisis. It is and has had a profound impact.
Managing Director of Tourism Australia, Andrew McAvoy, has said the markets we've traditionally relied on, like Europe and the US, have declined, and we're not at the point of attracting the big growing Asian markets. Have we just failed to react fast enough to a changing industry?
I was in China towards the end of last year, and I was certainly well received by many of the places across China. In fact, we were able to draw a relationship directly with an aircraft coming into Uluru in January this year. I've certainly said right across the Northern Territory that China is the market, and we've been working on that in the Northern Territory, and I don't think we have been slow. If anything, what we're trying to do is cater for the fact that there is such a large interest in Indigenous culture. And one of the other areas of our government has been to certainly have massive reform in regional growth across our regions to make sure that Indigenous people are very much benefiting from the tourism industry.
Demographer Dean Carson says the Territory is focused too strongly on passive sightseeing, looking at scenery, and that people want more active experiences. What do you think we could offer the tourism market that we aren't currently doing?
I think we'll always have experts in the field who give their opinions. The reality for the Northern Territory and the statistics that come through from our discussions with Tourism Australia, that it is our unique scenery and it is Indigenous culture that are the two highest really feedback from tourism and from tourists who visit. That's what they want to see, and I don't think we should actually ignore that. Of course, in terms of active marketing, well then that's something that we certainly are looking at different spots across the Northern Territory. We have businesses like Crocosaurus Cove in the middle of Darwin that highlight the opportunities of working with crocodiles. I mean, we are unique, we have got variety, and I certainly encourage our businesses to keep being creative and keep being resilient in this climate.
So, Minister, where to from here? I mean, you've had discussions today, but no real progress on improving the situation for people here in the Territory.
Look, this was never going to be pulling a rabbit out of a hat in terms of the discussions with Tourism Australia. This was about building a relationship directly with Central Australia. Tourism Australia has agreed to come, has agreed to bring their board to the Northern Territory. I think they're profound wins for the Northern Territory today. I certainly will be pursuing wanting to have talks with Alan Joyce, the chair of Qantas, to invite him to Central Australia to actually have a look at Ulara and the economic boom that we are experiencing with the $300 million investment at the Rock.
Malarndirri McCarthy, thanks so much for talking with us.
Thank you.